Hello there and welcome back to another edition of Silly Car Showdown. Today, it's time for another one of these bloody things. It is another Peel. This more specifically is the sporty Peel Trident. Yes, the sports version of the Peel P50. Of course, we've had the P50 go around before. It was mental and terrifying and awful. This hopefully is a little bit better to drive. I haven't really got many hopes for that, but unlike the P50, I do have a little bit of a different tactic when it comes to building this one up. Also, this car was requested by Thunder, because Thunder wants to ruin my life. Anyways, we will start by having a quick look at the engine swaps. We have a choice of one, and it's the same engine we had in P50, the motorbike engine, which I will not be using. Also, drivetrain has to remain stock, as it has done for every other car, as by the rules of the series. No Forza Aero is allowed either, because this car looks a bit ridiculous with the wings. Anyways, we will have the off-road tyres, no option to increase tyre sizes, and those puny little things have got to stay on it. But everything else is fair game, so we will put all that in, put in the gearbox. I've got no idea if it upgrades it to a 6-speed, but there you go. We do get a roll cage, which looks interesting, to say the least. And finally, the engine. There is a reason I left this one, and that's because this car can actually get a decent amount of power stock. Also, I just want you to pay attention to this. That's after 8 horsepower. This car has 5 horsepower stock, I believe it is. So, yeah, that's kind of understandable. So I've decided to leave the stock engine in this to sort of see how far up PI-wise we can get. We're actually doing pretty well. I think this gets into C... Yeah, gets into C-Class eventually. But not much further than that. C556 is the final PI for this car. 93 horsepower, 124 foot-pound torque, 354 pounds of weight. There we go, I thought the game crashed. 75 miles per hour is the top speed. I will quickly have a look at that and make sure that's not a gearbox issue. I have a funny feeling it might be, because this 93 horsepower probably should be enough for this car to do more than that. Let's have a quick... Yeah, okay. Okay. That being said, I don't think it can get extended much further than that. Can we do 100 now? No. Oop, maybe not that far. I'll have to do all this manually, which I hate doing. But there we go. Sometimes we've got to. Gear ratios are probably going to be a bit wonky on this car because of this. That looks fine to me. God damn it. Can it seriously not do? Okay, apparently it can't do over 91 miles an hour. Oh well, anyways, I guess we'll see if it can when it gets to the track. Yeah. That fills me full of confidence, but there you go. That's the Peel Trident. I hope you're happy, Thunder. I hated driving one of these last time. Let's see if this one is equally hateful. So here we are at Edinburgh with our Peel Trident ready to put down 5 laps to see how fast this car will go. Our current leader is a Ferrari FXX, but I'm not going to read that time because it literally doesn't matter. The Peel has got, well, it's going to go towards the bottom of the leaderboard. Its biggest rival is probably its stablemate, the Peel P50, which set a time of a 2:29.852 when that car was equipped with a motorcycle engine. This car does not have a motorcycle engine, it has its stock engine, which should, well, most people go, doesn't that make it slower? Yes, however, it should be a hell of a lot more controllable. So, a 2:29.852 is the time to beat for the Peel Trident. Also, something I should just quickly mention, I did play around with the gear ratios a little bit more. If I remember rightly, I'll put a picture of what I did on the screen. Essentially, I pretty much stretched them out as far as they would go. So I think that's... I basically tried driving this around quickly in free roam, and yeah, the gear ratios were way too short. So I have upped them up a bit. Also, by the looks of it, that whole 91.8 miles per hour thing seems to be a joke by the benchmark, because as you can see, it will definitely do more than that. So, yeah, it can do more than that. It's just the game doesn't seem to like it doing it. Oh god. That's gone well. Yes, I don't particularly enjoy driving the Peel, to be honest with you, but Oh well, at least I'm out of peels once this one is done. There is no more of them to drive. It's one of two of them, and well, I've run one with a motorbike engine and one with the stock engine now. So, no one can complain. Hooray, hurrah. Although, judging by this first lap time, this is hardly going to be a quick car. At least we'll get a good look at the bottom of our leaderboard. We haven't actually managed to do that for a long time. I think the last car we really had go particularly slow was the Sprite, which was a 154 110, which is a time which just passed us by. So yeah, this thing is definitely not beating the Sprite. I will say, first impressions are a lot more positive than they were when I drove the motorbike engined one. The motorbike engined one was all over the place, a really tricky, awful, horrible car to drive. This actually doesn't feel too bad. You still have to be very careful on the throttle with it. You need to be patient. But it is pretty okay. 225, 115. Well, it's beating the P50. Hooray for that. Yeah. Hardly the most exhilarating car in the world. But, you know, I'd rather have the Peel drive more like this than it literally trying to kill me. Which is what the previous one did. It almost... driving Peels feels very weird. It almost feels like they're turbocharged, in a way, and the turbo doesn't quite come off until, well, like, a while after you've eased off the accelerator. It feels like they sort of run away a bit, which is a very strange feeling to have. But that is the way they feel. They're not the most responsive or anything of cars. Again, if you're trying to seriously race a Peel, it's probably not happening. There are plenty of better micro cars in this game. There's 2CVs, there's BMW Isettas. Pretty much anything is better than this. Granted, it is better. The Trident is definitely the better between the P50 and this. So, if you're going to drive one of these ridiculously small micro cars, this is the one to go for. But, you know, it's sort of... The Peel's, for me personally, I don't know if anyone else is that way, is this way. The Peel's one of those cars where I'm not really much of a silly car-ish I like my silly cars in real life, but I'm not so much, you know, like, on board with stuff like this in Forza. Granted, it is great. The community loves it. I like the idea of it. It's very silly, but you know, having this over, say, something like a Subaru 360, which is a car which I really like in this sort of sector, or an original Fiat 500, you know, I'd much rather have those, or, you know, just like a normal, a slightly quirky English car, something like a Jensen Interceptor over another Peel. You know, the thing with these cars is, you know, granted they're fun, but they're very sort of one-use jokes. You know, the Peel, once you've seen the Peel, once you've driven it, put a silly engine in it and laughed at it falling over, there's not really much more you can do with a car like this. Oh god. And there's the other issue the Peel has. It sort of has the same issue the previous P50 had. You can sort of see what I mean by runaway there. If you get this thing unstable, the car almost starts driving itself and behaving very erratically indeed. Which is not a particularly fun thing when that happens, it has to be said. Yeah. Sort of trying to take curbs, maybe a bit of an issue when it comes to this car. Maybe I shouldn't quite be as aggressive a corner when it comes to this thing, but there you go. But yeah, I mean, there is no doubt in my mind this is better than the previous car. I really didn't want to drive another motorbike engine Peel, so I sort of was playing around with this one. Once I realised it's sort of made about 90 horsepower upgraded, you know, that was good enough for me to rule that this one is probably okay. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It really is not bad at all. It's alright, you know. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Better than that one, anyway. But I mean, it doesn't drive that much better, it has to be said, and as I said previously, there are definitely cars I'd rather drive over this thing, let me tell you. But In terms of what it is, which is a freewheeled bubble microcar, which is running ridiculously tiny tyres, in that regard, it's okay. It's fine. Would I like some upgradable tyre widths? Sure. Would I like to be driving a different car? Definitely. But, again, sort of in a rock and a hard place, this is better than the P50. Is it more interesting than the Unimog, though, which is the only other car which is sort of down here with this one? Not really. I'd rather drive the Unimog. I'd probably rather drive the Unimog 3 times over driving another bleeding Peel in this game. But hey, once this one's gone around, that's it. I don't have to drive one of these things ever again. Mostly because there's no point. You know, now, the Trident and the P50 handle very, very similarly. You know, putting a motorbike engine in this, I mean, you can request it if you want. It will take me a long time to get to it, because I'm gonna probably put it off if you want to see that. But, you know, it's... I will oblige, I will do it. I'm just saying, don't expect it to be a particularly interesting video, because I've driven the P50 with the motorbike engine, and if I had to put the motorbike engine in this, if I had to take a wild stab in the dark, I'd say this would handle pretty darn simple. You know, I'm not sure how much was related between the Trident and the P50. If I had to guess in terms of Forza, they drive pretty darn similar. I haven't driven them back to back. I know the Trident's got slightly more power, but other than that, I'm not really sure. Again, I don't really play around with cars like this. In all honesty, I'd probably rather drive the Supervan than this. I'm kind of surprised no one's tried to lumber me with the Supervan yet, actually, to be perfectly honest with you, but there you go. Maybe people are nice enough to only, you know, punish me with one of these type of vehicles than anything else. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad, it's okay. Like I said, it is definitely, without a shadow of doubt, I would much rather drive this over the P50 I drove, but it's just sort of, yeah, you know. Of course, the only other issue is because it's a much longer lap. There's not really that much to talk about when it comes to driving this car. Because once you've pretty much figured it out, which, in the case of this, it's kind of like driving any other super small freewheeled car in Forza. Same with the Supervan, you know, just don't have much power on. You know, only go full power down when the wheels have stopped spinning in a straight line, and around the corners just don't really put much power down, and you'll be It's sort of the same situation that you drive, say, a Supervan in. They're pretty darn similar vehicles in that regard. As we rush towards the line, a 2:21.415. Can this lap time, or can this final lap be any more prosperous for the Trident? Ooh. Nope, because I'm going to miss that checkpoint. Well done me. Aren't I glorious? Oh well. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't going to go much quicker anyway. There's no way it was going to get a time that would beat the Unimog, let's be frank. But yeah, I mean, I can show you how to drive the Trident like an idiot now if you want, which is certainly power down and sort of wheel spinning all over the place like that, but it's not really the way you drive one of these cars. I know it's small, I know it's diminutive, but you've got to drive a Peel Trident with care. You know, you've got to be kind and considerate to it. You've got to not rush it or anything like that, because it really does not like it when you try to bully the little Peel. I know it's small and I know you want to bully it, but don't, because it will attack. It's like a small Yorkshire Terrier. You can annoy it, but your ankles will not be safe. And indeed, in a crash, your ankles really would not be safe in a Peel Trident. I think I saw one of these actually on the Hubnut channel recently. Also, it's got 2 seats. I don't know if the other Peel has 2 seats. I guess it's a benefit of the Trident. I mean, the Trident looks better than the P50. I don't know why I'm trying to sell you on the Trident. The Trident's the better one. If you was to ask me, the Trident's the better. Easily the better. Despite the weird piece of suspension which seems to be hanging from the front end, and the fact the exhaust on this car is a joke. Sort of, look at it, you could stab someone with the bleeding exhaust in this car. But it's not bad. I kind of like the single prong steering wheel as well. It's a interesting touch. But yeah, overall, I mean, as I said, it's kind of hard to really take much away from driving these cars, because no one's ever going to drive one of these sensibly, and if they're even going to attempt that, they're going to switch it into they're going to switch it to all-wheel drive. Once you do switch the Peels to all-wheel drive and stiffen the suspension up, they're not terrible cars to drive. There's a couple of achievements that involve getting 3 stars on various PR stunts with Peels, and they can do that pretty well, so I don't know. Anyways, a 2:21.415 for the Peel Trident will put it into 43rd place. It goes 8 seconds quicker, or 8.5 seconds actually, if we want to be specific, over the Peel P50, the previous one that was ran with the motorbike engine. It is, trying to work that out, about 13 seconds slower than the Unimog. A lot slower than the Bentley V10, which is like the first proper car that we've got in terms of slowest. Yeah, hardly the most exciting thing in the world, hardly the most interesting video in the world, but that is the Peel Trident for you. It's small, it's diminutive, and buy it over the P50. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching this edition of Silly Car Showdown. Do hope you've enjoyed. If you'd like to request cars for this series, you could do so down below in the comment section, or either my video or on the video on HG Central. If you dive into the description of my video, you'll see a link to my Discord server. Feel free to join that to request cars. I have a request chat. I would prefer it if you could do it that way, please, because it does make things a little bit easier to keep track of, but you don't have to. You can do it in the comment section. Just bear in mind, I'm a bit slow at adding stuff like that to the list. If you're watching this video on HG Central, in the description of this video is a link to my channel where you can come and enjoy some subpar content if that's your bag. But with that all being said and done, thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a farewell.